Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Patient First podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bryan Laskin. And as always, I'm excited that you're here. And I am super excited to have an amazing guest today on the podcast, Dr. Brett Wells, who is the founder and CEO of DentalHQ, a practicing dentist in Raleigh, North Carolina, and a frequent podcast guest star, a serial entrepreneur, foodie, and die-hard Carolina Panthers fan until I'm not as big of a sports fan as you, my friend. Dr. Wells started Dental HQ to help his fellow dentists increase patient care and case acceptance with in-house membership plans. You can contact him at brett@dentalhq.com. Brett, thanks so much for being on the podcast.
Well, hey, Brian, coming from somebody like you, that compliment means a lot. So excited to be on here, excited to chat with you for a few minutes or however long we're on here and kind of share with everyone my story and how I got here and kind of some of the fun stuff we're doing.
Well, let's start off there, man. So this is you are one of those sort of rare breeds, one of those freaks of nature like myself, that's a dentist that started to create solutions for dentistry. And I think we'll talk in a little bit why I'm so impressed with that and why I think it's so important. But first, let's talk about how you got here.
Yeah.
How did you come to the point where you started Dental HQ?
Yeah. I mean, like you, Brian, I consider myself a dentist by trade, kind of an entrepreneur by passion. I am built to solve problems and like accomplish goals. Like it's just in my personality. And so I'm always looking for problems to solve. And like one of my favorite quotes I learned in my micro class in undergrad was chance favors prepared mind. And so I go into any situation wherever I see a problem and I'm always thinking through, well, how can technology or how can dentistry solve this? And, we were kind of I was probably one of the really early adopters of this. It was, I'm sure Dr. Charles Blair is a good friend of has become a good friend of mine and a great speaker and leader in our space. It's probably 2012, 2011. I was down at Hinman listening to his one of his lectures, and he started talking about these membership plans and how they were starting to spread all through dentistry. And that was one of my big light bulb moments. I was like, this is so awesome. I can sell a package of dental services outside of my offices. Like I could hire a sales team and they could go sell these things. And so we launched it. We got cool little card makers and sold them in my office, the annual plans. But within a couple of years, I was like, this is so cool. I really want to take it to the next level. And I want to do monthly plans. So we started looking back at the solutions. And this was like probably 2014, 2015. And there just wasn't a lot out there. I mean, there really wasn't anything out there. And so, I think we found one vendor who was doing it, but didn't do it the way I would have wanted to do it. And so, maybe 2016, 2015, I started the process of building, hopping in the tech space, which, yeah, I've been in dental, I've been in restaurants, I've gone down that, had a fun experience there. And then now I'm hopping into the tech. So it was a wild ride getting this thing launched back in 2017. But the cool thing is, I know membership plans are all the rage now, and there's, people have options for different software automations for this. But we were one of the first into the space. And so it wasn't for me like, hey, let's just build this thing and see how many people we can get sign up. It's innovate, innovate, innovate. Like how can we take this thing to the next level? How can we evolve membership plans and subscription dentistry and our software and make it best in class and continue to do super innovative things that other people aren't doing. So it's been a fun time, like taking stuff I learned in my business and my practice and seeing problems that we have and pinch points and then integrating it into the technology over the years. So the technology, there's a great saying. I can't remember who it is, if it's Zuckerberg or who, but if you're not embarrassed about the first version of your technology, then you waited too late, right? So I definitely compared now to what we had back then, we're probably embarrassed, but what we've evolved to now is just a really slick, awesome technology for other docs to use to run their programs.
Well, I want to just highlight something that you said that I think is easy to gloss over, but is fundamentally important. And I actually talk about in my book that we in dentistry need to have more solutions developed by people who are dentists, and that's not a subtle change, right? Fundamentally different software is designed when you have a dentist at the helm that's designing the application itself, because you know the pain, you know what it takes to run a dental practice, and you're not just theorizing based on some as a patient, which is what almost everybody in dentistry does. I think there's very few dentists that are actually involved in developing technology. And the same thing happened when I developed Opera DDS, that platform. There's plenty of patient engagement solutions, but none really hit the mark like we did because I was running it in my practice, and we had, and you're doing the same thing with membership plans or subscription plans and all the great things that you do. And also, what you're doing is different than most other software companies that I know are. There's so many software companies in dentistry that are more sales organizations than innovation companies,
Yeah.
right? They have a widget that they're trying to cram down everybody's throat, and they're not really looking and seeing how can we make the changes that need to happen to improve this every day that you're doing. So I very much appreciate that, and that's a big reason why I wanted to have you on the podcast, and why I believe that everybody should check out Dental HQ, because you are, even though you might be in a category where there's other people,
Yeah.
I don't know of another one that's dentist led like you.
No,
And
no, I
and
mean,
and
not and I mean, you experienced this with the opera, I'm sure, Brian. Your team, your product team will come with you with, "Hey, we're building this new feature." And they're so excited about it. It's like this and this and this. The dentist press this button and it's going to do this, and you look at them and go, "This is not going to work in dental at all. Like that workflow, that button there, they're not going to understand that. That just doesn't make sense." And I can look at it,
every
yeah, and
single
go,
week.
rebuild it. Like this isn't going to work at all. But like I have that immediate knowledge from 20 plus years in dentistry to know, or, building multiple startup practices and new concepts and dental and having a lot of success there. I know what's going to work in a dental office 9 times out of 10 over my team. And so it's nice to have that perspective where I don't have to let an office beta test it and give us feedback and then learn, all right, that's not going to work. So that's been nice. And then just having the living in the world of technology and automation. And like for me, a big area that needs to be solved. And we have some plans that we've been wireframing and working on this. And I'm sure somebody may hear this and take it and run with it. And that's fine because it needs to be solved, and somebody needs to solve it. Is treatment planning. Like there's not a lot of good solutions for automated treatment planning, and there can be, right? It's an area that you have different payment solutions and options for patients, and maybe you have several different options for payments, and you have turnover at the front desk when you're your most highly turned over positions, and then the new person doesn't get trained on your different payment options, and all of a sudden your Invisalign cases go down because they don't know to talk to them about your 24-month no interest financing solution. So like there's just so much innovation that's ripe in this space, and being able to be at the tip of the spear and starting these practices and being in dental and then taking the lessons I'm learning, those pinch points, and building it in the dental HQ is just it's a lot of fun for me.
That's
I'm sure
great.
it was
And
for you.
so, I mean, you're kind of I had sort of a membership plan at my practice. It was one of the best things I ever did, and that was before, is well before 2016 when you came out. And now my obviously I don't do anything with my practice anymore, but I believe they have an automated membership plan, but they're not all created equal. Like even when they switched from the plan that we had to the automated one, frankly, it was a step down, and I think it is because you need to be. So what are those, when you as a dentist who developed a membership plan, what are the key features that when it comes to having a membership plan like Dental HQ that people
Yeah.
should be looking for?
Well, the most important thing, some of the most important things you can do are keeping it simple. You don't want, well, we have offices sometimes they'll come to us. We've had one, I think, even that came to us had like 12 or 16 different options for a membership plan. It's so complicated, or having all these exclusions and like, here's your membership plan, but exception, 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 exception. The more convoluted you make, it's just much harder to sell. You want it to be really easy for your team. And the most important thing you can do to have a really successful one is training your team, right? They're going to be your biggest advocates. They're going to sell the hell of this much better than even an automated software and having flyers up front and all that kind of stuff. So having your team on board and understanding the significance of the program and how beneficial it is to your patients, they're going to love talking to patients about it. You just got to give them the tools to do that. So there's your kind of the pieces. And in terms of automation, our software, we now have PMS integration. We've got great reporting. We've got a lot of widgets that give you a lot of data and metrics about your membership plan. Now completely rebuilt the platform for the third time and launched it last year. I could go on and on about all the little stuff we have. Customization. You can link it into your website. It's got multi-location reporting if you're a group or have multiple different locations, and just all that customization and all the different stuff. you can do with it. I don't know. I could go on and on, but
Well, I think you and I are kind of the have had some experience with membership plans and
mhm.
passionately believe in it, I would say, right?
Yeah,
Uh, but to those who don't have a membership plan, have been wondering, why would I want to provide one to my patients?
yeah,
Can you speak to them? Like, what are the, like? Because I mean, it's probably fairly obvious,
yeah.
but could I have you? But not to somebody who hasn't jumped on board yet. And there's probably a lot of dentists who are listening that haven't jumped on board with membership
Yeah, I
plans.
mean, it's impressive. About a third of dentists have one. Another third of them are, and this is per the ADA survey done like a year or two ago. Another third are thinking about one, and then a third aren't thinking about them. So, having a membership plan, first understand only about a quarter of people without insurance are going to the dentist. You've got about 60% of people with insurance, a quarter of the people without insurance are actually going. So, that's 75% of the population who are uninsured aren't going to the dentist. Number one reason cited is cost. So when they call my office, I've sat up front in the consult room and listened to these conversations, and they go, "Hey, what's your new patient special?" And we go, "Well, we have a membership plan. It's $30 a month." And they go, "What's the catch? I don't understand. That doesn't seem like it would make sense. Like, what's the catch?" And we go, "No, there's no catch. It includes your cleaning exams and X-rays. Like we know an annual membership plan at $30 a month. That's $360 a year. Like that's what we need to make those procedures worthwhile for us, at least in my practice." But the patient is very affordable because consumers live off of monthly budgets. And so making that palatable for them is just much more attractive to those patients. They're going to stay, you're going to retain them a lot better. The retention analytics that we've got are just through the roof. And then they're going to spend a lot more money, 2 to 3 times more money than your non-members. So, yes, you can say, why do I want to discount my current cash paying patients? Well, because potentially double or triple your cash paying patient base, reduce your dependent on insurance, and they're going to spend more money as members than as non-members, and they're going to stay in your practice. So, like, yes, maybe you give a little bit of a discount to your current patients, but there's so much upside in having a membership plan than not having one. So,
Yeah, I think you went over those benefits pretty quickly, but those are all very, very real. Like from firsthand experience, you can bring in new people that wouldn't be coming in because they're afraid of cost. $30 a month is sounds so. I mean, we did an annual one. I love your $30 a month. And that's the way to do it because that
yeah,
is how people shop. You're gonna. I can tell you from personal experience, rabid patient loyalty, and people will show up. And back when I was seeing patients regularly. This is a few years ago, the average production that I would do out of the hygiene chair, on average, of all patients, was about $850. So in the restorative chair, so I knew that if I saw more people more frequently, on average, I was going to be doing more $850 uh, restorative appointment. So for that, I was like, okay, this is about just how many, can I see more people and do more exams? Because that $850 really didn't change
yeah,
depending on, if I saw 5 patients or I saw 25 patients, that didn't change that much. So getting in more people more frequently that then are also happy. And that I would add, you said people on a membership plan actually have more services, higher case acceptance, but
hmm,
also they refer more. I found. I mean, we had
yeah.
people like they just get so excited about a membership plan that they'll tell everybody else, and then you see their friends and family, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. So, I've had, at least in my practice, I'm sure our offices have this happen too. I'll have people who we've never even seen before who'll sign up for a membership plan and then call for their first appointment. So people get really excited about these membership plans because it just makes dentistry so much more affordable. And, at Dental HQ, we're kind of evolving too. Our opinion is uninsured aren't the only people who can be on subscription dentistry. We think there's a lot of capacity for your insured patients to be on some sort of subscription as well. So we're really starting to encourage our offices to have subscription offerings, not just for their uninsured, but also for their insured. And we're kind of teaching them how to do that as we've learned to do it kind of in my practices. So it's
It's such
actually
a great
nice.
idea.
It's where the future
And
is going.
yeah, and you guys have kind of been the tip of the spear, the people who are creating the next waves. And it's just so cool to hear what you have in queue, which we talked a little bit about. I mean, the idea that obviously membership plans are not just for insured patients. I mean, people have a membership plan from where they buy their lunch to like, famously right now with Delta changed their membership plan, and they were so loyal to the membership plan that they had to, like, the CEO had to go back and walk the changes back because people were so mad about how they changed their loyalty program. And so this is the kind of power you can bring to your practice. And I want to sort of almost end where we began with the fact that the reason why Dental HQ, in my mind, is has been able to innovate, been at the forefront of this, is because you're a dentist who's dealing with these issues in your practice, designing it for your practice and others, and you've been doing it for a long time. So I applaud you for doing it.
It's fun, you know? I mean, actually, I'm finding a lot of areas we can innovate dentistry as well, which I'm doing a new concept we're building. But being able to see pinch points and go back to my technology team and say, hey, we need to build this, we need to solve this. It's fun for me. I mean, I'm sure it's fun for you too, especially when you're building opera. But it allows me to get my creative outlet out. And I just get excited about everybody in dentistry and friends of friends who are able to help and get really excited about this technology we're building. So if you're interested, or if what I talked about sounds something you might want to look into, like hop on our website, set up a demo, and those guys can show you a lot better all the cool bells and whistles and how far our technology's come in the last 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, it's super impressive. And so I would urge everybody just go to dentalhq.com so that they can learn more and look at sort of the innovators in membership plans and shifting not just from insurance membership plan, but subscription plans for all of your patients. Absolutely phenomenal. Brett, thanks so much for being on the podcast.
Thanks, Brian. Had a great time. That was fun.
Take care.
All right, thanks, man.